Robin Flynn filling in for Aaron Rand. Got the TV on in studio. I can see Premier Doug Ford from Ontario is speaking. Of course, the Premier's meeting is happening today. We will be checking in with CTV's Colton Prail to find out what's going on at that meeting a little bit later this half hour. Right now, I wanted to check in with Dr. Christopher Labos, cardiologist with a degree in epidemiology and frequent contributor here on CJAD 800, to talk about a story that I saw that I thought was particularly appropriate, because I know you're talking about sunburns on your podcast this week, Dr. Labos.
I know, with a very, very special guest co-host.
Yeah, by the name of, it's me, Robin Flynn.
Robin Flynn, exactly.
So we talked a lot about it on the podcast, which you should check out, by the way, the body of evidence. But I saw this story today that said you could get a sunburn on your eyes. Now, obviously, you don't want to put sunscreen on your eyes, because that's like a recipe for disaster. It's going to burn. It's going to sting. It's awful. We've all got sunscreen in our eyes before. But is there anything you can actually do to protect your eyes when you're out in the sun?
Well, there's two things you should be thinking about. We're talking about your eyes. I mean, thinking about your eye, the eyeball itself, and also the eyelid, which is a part of skin that we often neglect and don't think about. Remember, your eyelids are made up of skin just like everything else, right? So when you're applying sunscreen, or even so makeup that has sunscreen in it, make sure you get your eyelids. Now, you have to be a little bit careful so you don't get it in your eye, because it will irritate your eye, and that's a thing, and you don't want that happening. But, you have to apply a little bit of sunscreen to your eyelids so that you don't burn there. But the best way, frankly, is sunglasses. If you have good quality sunglasses that are going to filter out UV rays, that will essentially prevent you from, number one, damaging your retina, because UV radiation will damage your eyes. That's why sunglasses exist as a product, and also protect the area around your eye. You just have to be a little bit careful you don't get a weird tan line if you're out in the sun for too long, because that does happen, especially with the bigger glasses.
Oh, absolutely. I'm curious how good that UV protection is, because I've seen even sunglasses at the dollar store that have the little sticker that says they offer UV protection. Is that accurate?
So strangely enough, it is. And I did this little experiment once, because I thought this was going to be a really cool story, that we were going to find that the sunglasses at the dollar store were not that effective. So I actually went out, bought a bunch of them, and tested them at a local eyeglass store. Oh. And they all tested really well. I was genuinely shocked. So as long as they say that they're filtering out the 400 nanometer wavelength, and for the most part, there are always people that are going to skirt the laws. If they say that they are providing broad spectrum UVB protection somewhere on the label, unless they're deliberately breaking the law, they will actually do pretty well, all things considered. Now, you have to make sure that they are actual sunglasses, not just plastic in frames, because that is a thing, right? Especially with some of the novelty, especially the kid ones. Yeah. But the thing that makes sunglasses expensive is actually not the glass itself or the tinted lens, right? It's the frames. So, if you get cheap frames that are made of plastic, you can actually get pretty cheap sunglasses. When you're spending hundreds of dollars on sunglasses, it's because it's Gucci or Louis Vuitton or whatever. So it's the frames that really make it. To make effective sunglasses is actually not that hard and not that expensive, and we can all get a relatively cheap pair that is pretty darn good. And then if you really want to go to the upper level, you can get the polarized sunglasses. That's for people who are going to be spending a lot of time in the sun and really want sort of top-notch protection, and those obviously going to be a little bit more expensive.
For sure. Obviously, avoidance is key, but let's say you've got a sunburn on your eyelids. That sounds absolutely miserable. Is there anything you can do? Because I suspect putting aloe vera on your eyelids probably isn't the best idea.
Well, you're going to run into the same problems with the sunscreen, right? If it gets into your eye, it's going to irritate your eye, and you don't want to start absorbing that stuff systemically. But look, a sunburn is a sunburn. It will go away with time, right? It's going to be unpleasant for a while, and hopefully it becomes a learning experience for most people. But, it will go away. The real danger with sunburns is the cumulative damage. So if you keep doing that to your skin, eventually that damage is going to pile up, because the sunburn goes away, but the damage that you've done to your cells and the DNA in your cells is going to stay there. Don't forget, UV radiation is radiation. People worry about their computers giving off radiation or their Wi-Fi network giving off radiation, and none of those give off radiation. But the sun really is giving off radiation that is damaging your skin. That redness is actually your skin dying to some degree or suffering damage. So that's really the thing that you have to worry about, the cumulative effect of that. I mean, in all ages, but especially people who have, pale skin, and especially in younger kids because their skin tends to be more sensitive. And, the evidence has shown that getting sunburns earlier in life does set you up for more problems, i.e. skin cancer later in life.
Yeah, I don't remember what the stat is, so I don't want to misrepresent it, but it was something like every blistering sunburn you get increases your chance of getting skin cancer, like 2, 3, 4, some crazy number, which is I can't even tell you how many blistering sunburns I had. I have skin the color of Casper the Friendly Ghost. Like, I am so, so pale. And I did get skin cancer that I had to have removed last year. So I can tell you, it's not fun. So wear the sunscreen. I do have a question for you, Dr. Labos, about the reapplication of sunscreen, because I think a lot of people put on their sunscreen once when they start their day and go out, and then they get a sunburn and they're like, but I wore sunscreen. It's really important to keep reapplying that sunscreen, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And we don't reapply it often enough. Even the best of us don't reapply it often enough. You basically have to reapply it every couple of hours.
Wow.
It really is that frequent. Now, you could make a strong argument that you shouldn't be out baking in the sun for, 2-3 hours at a time. That's not good for you either. But basically, if you're going to be out in the sun for an extended period of time, you should be reapplying it pretty frequently. And because most of us wear sunscreen when we go to the beach, every time you're getting wet, well, you should probably reapply the sunscreen. The label water resistant, waterproof, and they keep changing it as the laws change. It doesn't actually mean what people think it means. It means that a certain degree of the sunscreen remains on the surface of your skin even after getting wet. But when you go swimming for an extended period of time and then dry yourself off with a towel, a lot of that sunscreen is gone, and you probably do have unprotected patches of skin. You're probably better off reapplying it. And that's a mistake a lot of us make, and we just really don't do it.
I've been using my daughter's sunscreen a lot because I've always bought her like baby sunscreen because she's, a toddler. She's still a baby. And in my mind, I'm like, well, this must be even better than regular sunscreen because it's meant for babies who have such sensitive skin. I mean, is it better, or is all sunscreen sunscreen?
Pretty much all sunscreen is sunscreen. What really matters is the SPF level. And as long as the brands, again, are not cheating, that's what really matters. Everything else, like the texture, whether it applies clear or white, whether it has a greasy film, those are all aesthetic things. And the manufacturers spend a lot of time and money to make their product a little bit more aesthetically pleasing to the commercial audience, but they don't actually change its scientific efficacy. So, if you want to get children sunscreen because you like the way that it feels on your skin because it's less irritating and has a smoother application, do that. If you prefer the sprays over the creams or the creams over the sprays, you can do either one. There is some evidence that we tend to get a more even application with the sprays when you do it properly, but you kind of also need another person to spray it on you sometimes for it to be as effective. So there's positives and negatives to everything, but all of it really comes down to preference. The thing that really matters is the SPF, and as long as you have an SPF that's over 30 at the very least, then the sunscreen is going to do what it has to do, as long as you apply it properly, and that means everywhere, and as long as you reapply it, which is, again, the mistake we all make.
I give a tip for some ladies, by the way, because one thing I hated was reapplying sunscreen to my face after I've put on my makeup, because then it messes with the makeup that you put on. But I found a setting spray, which is something that women spray on their face after they've done their makeup to make it stay in place. I found a setting spray that has SPF in it. So now I just keep that in my purse, and when I'm out in the sun, I just spray some more of that setting spray. It's got SPF. It keeps my makeup in place, and it, re-protects my skin, which is great. So finally, it took 30 some odd years for them to come out with this, but I absolutely love it. Dr. Christopher Labos, cardiologist with a degree in epidemiology, frequent contributor here on CJAD 800. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Robin. Take care.